Hey guys, I'm gonna do another review for a movie. This is another sequel. Um, Hold on, my dog is getting on my bed. This is going to be it's another sequel. Um, it's not for one of my favorite film franchises. It's made by Wes Craven. It's kind of one of his lesser known series. It's Hills Have Eyes Part 2. And unfortunately, I only have this on cassette tape. I do not have this on DVD. Frankly, because it's just too hard to find, and no one ever likes this movie. Now, I actually saw this one before I saw the first film, and I was really impressed with this movie. I mean, I thought it was really good, but then after seeing the first one, I thought this one was just garbage. I mean, it was trash. And let me give you a little background from why this movie was made. Wes Craven needed some money, and so he decided to make a part 2 to The Hills Have Eyes, and he only made this for money. And since then, he has been quoted as of saying he disowns this film. I mean, it's not really that bad. It's about some bikers that are going to a race, and they need gas or something, and they stop at this shack that they think they has gas, and they end up, Jupiter and not his clan ends up, killing most of them off one by one. And let me tell you why I like this film. I like it because it has that 80s feel to it. And the 80s feel, I'm talking about the atmosphere from like Friday the 13th, or some of the later Halloween sequels, or The Shining. And and it has some of the villains previously seen in the first film. And even though the acting is terrible, it's like one of those cheap 80s horror films, like the cheap Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. It's got some of that cheap acting. And and Wes Craven wrote it. I mean, he wrote it himself and directed it. And I don't know why he would hate it, because if you were gonna write something, you should like it before you make it. I'm thinking he just did a rush job on a part 2 so we can make some money off of it. Just slapped The Hills Have Eyes name on it, and people would automatically come to see it. Even though the first one was made, I believe, in like 76, and this one was made in 84, so it was, an 8-year gap. And I don't really know why he decided to make a sequel until now, only when he needed money. I mean, after watching the first one, I couldn't really see any possibilities for a sequel. Or maybe Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre you might have, or Friday the 13th. But maybe that's why. But this isn't the traditional sequel. It's basically just another story with the Hills Have Eyes clan tagged into the story. And, it's got some great death scenes. And it wasn't particularly scary. But, I mean, it was a good film. I'll give this film a 3 out of 5. Mainly because I liked some of the death scenes in this film, and probably the only thing I think that saved this film was Wes Craven's name, The Hills Have Eyes name, and then the recurring villains. I mean, and I'm just stunned. The back of this thing, it looks so good on the back of the tape, yet it's not, that good. And this also has a survivor from the first film, and I'm not exactly sure who it is. And a blind girl is in this movie, and she's like one of the lone survivors, so she's freaking blind. But this has some good deaths. And, if you're a Wes Craven fan and you haven't seen the Hills Have Eyes series, watch them. I mean, they're both pretty good. I mean, I'm kind of glad and kind of disappointed that he stopped after part two, mainly because if maybe he could have pulled things back together with a part three, or maybe he would have totally twisted the series around if there was a part three, or if someone else would have made a part three. And this is, I believe, the second franchise. This was the first time where he made the direct sequel to his original movie. The second time being he made Scream 2. You can't count Nightmare on Elm Street because he didn't make a sequel to that until '94, and the first one came out in '84. And it's they're both really okay. I mean, I'm not a fan of Hills Have Eyes that much. I'm more of a Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street fan. See this movie. It's really good. Both of them are. The first one is definitely better than the second one, but it gives you more Hills Have Eyes, and I do recommend seeing it. I mean, it has its flaws, but it's still a Wes Craven horror film, and you can't go wrong with Wes Craven. So, rent Hills Have Eyes Part Two. You won't be sorry. I mean, it was decent. So, again, check out Hills Have Eyes Part 2.